So as soon as she goes, you go. Sometimes they get up in these numbers where it's like 1,237,000. You know, we were taught second grade. It's like, what is this?
She was making.
She was all over the place.
I have to say this does work better than what we've done before.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's good. We're ready when you are.
We're going to call the meeting to order. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start with 4.2, welcome and introductions, and we're going to start with April Meckel. She's on Zoom with us right now.
April Meckel, board member.
Randy Gilman, Assistant Superintendent, Elementary.
Tammy Cardona, Assistant Superintendent, Secondary.
Jim Shalhoub, Director.
Carol Yant, Board Treasurer.
Jamie Willis, Backup Board Secretary.
John Stewart, Chief Financial Officer.
Kelly Brock, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources.
Vicki Hansen, Board Member.
Michelle Chamberlain, Board Member. Crystal Hargis, Vice President.
Paul Frigo, Superintendent.
Judy Smith, Board President. Moving on to 4.3, we need to approve the agenda for the August 3rd, 2021 meeting. I need a motion for that.
Motion to approve minute.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that passes. 4.4, approval of meeting minutes from July 12th and July 13th and July 30th. Need a motion for that?
Motion to approve minutes. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, that passes. And we have patron comments. Dr. Gilman.
Yes, I'd like to remind our speakers today that any problems involving a particular or identifiable employee or students are reserved for executive session. A 3-minute time period will be allowed per speaker. A warning will be given after 2.5 minutes. The Vice President of the Board will be the timekeeper. And our first comment this evening is from Milton McDaniel.
Thank you for your time. I'm here today to talk to you about the mask guidance. In June 2020 is when we really started to see the beginnings of COVID in Jeffco. On July 21st, 2020, there were 38 new cases reported, and the 7-day average was 28. And it gradually went up from there and peaked in November 2020 when we get around 300 cases a day. Here we are almost a year later. In late May, new cases were in single digits. Things were looking good. But in June 2021, we again started to see the beginnings of COVID reemerge in Jeffco, a year after the initial wave. By July 21st, we had 76 new cases, and the 7-day average was 48. That rate of increase is considerably higher than what we had the first time around. Extrapolating that data to this November would be problematic, but I think it's safe to say that if rates were to continue as they have been, it would be a pretty troublesome fall. My understanding is the current Fox C-6 mask wearing is optional except for the buses. This recommendation made sense during the summer session. I wouldn't be here if the numbers had not changed. However, with the increasing rates and uncertainty, the board needs to be agile in its recommendations for this year. As I'm sure you're all aware, the larger national organizations have already updated guidance regarding mask wearing, including the CDC, World Health Organization, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and even our own local health experts at Jefferson County Health Department and our top medical experts at WashU. The reason for these recommendations are the increasing rates which Jefferson County has unfortunately seen. Additionally, per the American Academy of Pediatrics, children are increasingly affected. Children represent 15% of all new cases. In the past 2 weeks, this increase has jumped 2%. The American Academy of Pediatrics, in their most recent guidance on masks, also stated there is an urgent need to collect more data on the long-term impacts of the pandemic on children, including ways the virus may harm the long-term physical health. Even though children are less likely to have serious complications initially, that's not to say they are not a repercussion from COVID infection. It's a relatively new disease, obviously, and the long-term effects are still unknown. That said, some of the first studies looking at long COVID come out of Europe, and the publication is still in preliminary evidence, but it has been cited by the National Institute of Health, and the statistics have already undergone peer review. Of particular note, the children in this study, approximately 42.6% presented at least one symptom of COVID, or one symptom of long COVID, 120 days after diagnosis. An important and unexpected finding in this study was that children with asymptomatic COVID initially
30 seconds.
still developed chronic persistent symptoms later on after infection. So, these are the facts. COVID cases are on the rise. Young children are not able to get vaccinated, can get COVID, can pass it on, and whether they're not as likely to be hospitalized, side effects are unknown. Masks, social distancing, and your most basic form of protection limit exposure and infection. Where are we again, I'll state, were we at these numbers that we saw ahead in May, I wouldn't even be here to talk, but based on these increasing numbers and everything I see, I think it's important that you change your recommendation to require masks. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Joe Presidento.
Good evening to the members of the school board and Superintendent Dr. Forgo. Thank you for the opportunity to speak for a few minutes at tonight's meeting. I actually reached out to each of you via email just a few days ago and wanted to reiterate my comments and share them with the public at large as well. My wife and I are the parents of 3 children who currently attend Fox C-6 schools and have been doing so for the entirety of their education. At the start of the new school year, they will be in 7th grade, 4th grade, and 1st grade. I myself am an employee of the Fox C-6 School District, and the start of this new school year will mark 16 years as a classroom teacher at Seckman High School. For what it's worth, I also attended Fox C-6 schools for the duration of my elementary and secondary education, and then chose to return here after college to serve the community in which I grew up. However, I speak to you today not as an employee, but as a concerned parent and community member. I know that a decision will soon be announced regarding the school district's policy on mask wearing for students and staff, and I am deeply concerned about what this will mean for my children and all others in the district. Simply stated, in the strongest possible terms, I urge you to maintain the current policy in which masking is optional for all parties. Now, this is the part where I could list off a litany of facts and data and peer-reviewed studies relative to the efficacy of masks, but as I know, you've already been presented with this information by many others on multiple occasions at other board meetings, and given that I only have a few minutes to speak, I'll just leave that stuff out. What I really want to focus on for the remainder of my comments is the right of choice. Every student, in conjunction with his or her family, should absolutely be able to wear a mask if they so choose. Likewise, any student and their family who determines that masks are not appropriate or not in their best interest must also maintain their fundamental right to make that decision and to be able to do so without fear of punishment or retribution in any way against those students by a school or any of its staff. Masks are essentially being used as a form of medical intervention by schools and other entities. Like any other medical intervention that would be deployed on children, it is absolutely up to each parent to make the decision as to whether or not said intervention can be administered to their child, regardless of what any group or body recommends, be it a group of regional superintendents or a local health department or county officials or unelected bureaucrats at the CDC or the WHO. The bottom line is this: the authority to make the decision on whether or not any student should be masked during the school day doesn't belong to the school district or anyone else other than the students and their families. And I can assure you I'm not alone in my position on this matter. While plenty are either perhaps unable or uncomfortable with coming to speak at a board meeting, I've been in contact with many, many other parents who feel exactly as I do. So in conclusion, I once again urge you to maintain the district's current policy of masks being optional for all parties involved. This preserves the fundamental rights of the students and their parents to make the healthcare-related decision that is best suited for them and their needs. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker is Meredith Schroyer.
Hello, my name is Meredith Schroyer. I'm a physician assistant in South County. I live in Arnold. My husband is a teacher at Fox Middle School, and our son goes to Sherwood Elementary School within the Fox School District. First, I want to recognize how hard the last year and a half has been on everybody involved. Most of us have been flying by the seat of our pants and have had to make decisions and change course at a moment's notice. I was at my son's elementary school in March of 2020 on the last day of what was regular school when they handed out over 2,000 books to the students for what was supposed to be a 2-week break. Then, as the situation evolved, I watched my husband, his coworkers, and the faculty and staff throughout the district change how they deliver education. I'm very proud of the flexibility of our faculty and staff and the dedication they showed to our students, their jobs, and our community. For most of 2020, plans were reactive rather than proactive. We now know more about how COVID spreads, who is at risk, and what we can do to keep people safe. We recognize the impact of social isolation on mental health, especially in our students. We also recognize the resiliency of these students when they receive the support that they deserve. 3 months ago, the outlook was leaning towards control of the virus, and I was looking forward to mostly business as usual for our district. However, as cases continue to rise at faster rates, this does not seem appropriate or safe. In data released from the health department today, 59 children in Jefferson County tested positive for COVID in June. In July, 267 students tested positive for COVID. That is a 352% increase in cases in students. With school starting for students in 3 weeks and sooner for faculty and staff, plans to keep everyone safe now need to be implemented. To the board and all of the superintendents, I ask that you have students back in the classroom as much as possible for their socio-emotional and educational health. I also implore that you make masks mandatory for the physical health of all of the faculty, staff, and students. A personal choice of whether or not to wear a mask does not affect just the person wearing the mask. It affects everyone around them, and it affects the community at large. Thank you for your time and consideration. Please stay healthy and well.
Our last comment this evening is from Shannon Otto.
Hello, good evening. I'm here as a parent of 3, one of which has already lost out on so much of her first year as a student in the Fox School District. The other 2 will be in the district in just a few years. I want to speak on behalf of my family and many other parents of the Fox C-6 School District to the board this evening about the mask policies. Last year, my child entered kindergarten at Richard Simpson Elementary alone and masked. There was not an opportunity for her to be introduced properly to her new friends, the school, or any of the staff. She was not greeted by all of these strangers with a warm, welcoming smile on her first day, and every day after, instead, masked faces. She missed out on so many things due to masks and social distancing. She did not get to attend any field trips or school outings. The parents were not allowed to participate in field day activities or even kindergarten graduation. They did not provide an opportunity for friends and family to be part of the approximately 50 kindergartners graduating, but days prior, without proper distancing, they allowed family to gather to celebrate at the graduation of the class of 2021 for Fox School District. It is not the school district's job to keep kids from getting sick. It is your job to ensure they receive the best education this district can provide. Dr. Patel announced to remove the mask mandate just days before summer school started and allowed it to be an individual choice. When given that choice, most chose not to wear them at all. The chief medical advisor to the president, Dr. Fauci himself, has stated numerous times that the masks do not protect you from getting COVID. It has been proven that the mask is not effective at all. Clinical trials consistently find that masks do not protect you from any respiratory virus. Masking our children and ourselves needs to be our own personal decision. If someone has an underlying health condition and they choose to wear a mask because they believe it protects them, they can have that choice. Wearing masks have caused so much emotional distress, depression, and mental health disorders in children and adults. Why is the decision for what's best for our children and ourselves up to the board? Let the decision whether to wear a mask or not be up to us. Thank you.
Thank you to each of you for sharing your feelings with us. We go to 5.2, Superintendent Report.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It's hard to believe I've been here a month already. This month has flown by, and I've had lots of great conversations with a variety of people, parents, students, staff, and we've had great conversations, and they've also offered a lot of questions about the district for me to consider. But the common denominator after having all these conversations and visiting with people throughout the community, we are truly blessed with amazing kids, amazing parents, amazing community, and amazing staff. And again, I'll reiterate, I'm proud to have been selected to lead this district to do what's best for kids. A lot of the questions started bubbling up in themes, and I thought I'd share some of those with everybody to know that I'm listening. And we will be looking into these things. All I ask for is patience and grace. You can't build Rome overnight, that type of thing, turn the ship all at once. We have to give ourselves some time. So what I heard a lot about support staff compensation, both pay and benefits throughout the district. I want to assure you we are looking at these and for all of our employee groups and understand that that's a concern. Also, our certified employees pay. I've heard from a lot of people about that, and I want you to know I'm listening. I know Mr. Stewart and Dr. Brott are looking at a lot of things, and will be bringing proposals forward in the future. Again, I just ask for patience and grace, and I don't want anybody to think I'm promising anything. I just want to let you know I'm listening and I'm aware of these questions that have been brought forward. Another thing that's bubbled up quite a bit is the structure of support we will be providing for curriculum instruction in the district. And I've heard a lot of good ideas about this from a variety of people. And again, I'm just asking for patience and grace to listen to everybody, talk to the boots on the ground, see what's going on in our classrooms, and then come up with a plan that's going to provide the most benefit to our kids in the classroom and their learning experiences. So I really appreciate people's willingness to approach me and trust me with their thoughts and ideas. It's important to listen, and it's also important to utilize that feedback to put our plans together moving forward. In regards to some of the comments tonight about masks, I've been working with area superintendents, the health department, and we continue to get different messages from the health department, just to be honest, as far as how they're going to approach things. And so we've had to adjust and twist our plans, but I'm fully anticipate having an announcement by the end of this week as what our guidance will be regarding masks and COVID. And just again, I use this a lot right now, patience and grace as I work with my team to come up with the best plan moving forward and to get the most input from everybody before we announce our decision about returning to school in the fall. So that's what I got. Thanks for listening.
Okay, 6.1, Local Compliance Plan for Special Education. Dr. Cardona.
I'm asking the board to approve the attached local compliance plan for the 21-22 school year. This is directly related to our special ed services. Every year, the district and any district that services their own special education students, because of the IDEA compliance, we need to adopt a compliance plan. DESE puts those different options together, and we have chose as a district to go with option A. And so I'm just asking for your approval on that compliance plan.
Thank you. We need a motion to approve the local compliance plan for the 2021-22 school year.
I make a motion to approve the compliance plan as presented.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. 6.2, Dual Enrollment Agreement Memo of Understanding with Missouri Baptist University.
So I'm asking the board to approve the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding with Missouri Baptist for dual credit courses. Fox District is very proud to be able to offer some of our high school students that are interested in being able to receive college credit for courses. And so this will allow us to partner with Missouri Baptist. So for people that don't know, high school students can actually take a Missouri Baptist, if this is approved, course. Our instructors are teaching the exact same things that would happen in a Missouri Baptist classroom, and then they can receive credit for that class. So I'm just asking the board to approve that MOU.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the dual enrollment agreement memo of understanding with Missouri Baptist.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Those that abstain? Abstain.
Abstain.
Anybody that opposes? Okay, that passes. We go on to 6.3 Apex. To approve the purchase of Apex Online Learning for the 21-22 school year at a cost of $82,000. Dr. Cardona.
So I'm asking the board to approve this purchase with Apex. Apex is an online learning system. As a district, we used to use ALS, and ALS is no longer in existence as of June 30th, which is actually why we started building on Canvas and trying to get those classes built. But of course, our high schools have several courses that we need to do. So in the process of that, we're asking you to approve the purchase of Apex, which can be used for virtual learning. And we can also use that for our credit recovery courses, which we know we'll have students that need that. And at the same time, we will continue to build our Canvas courses so that our hope is that we don't have to continue on with this, but this is kind of a bridge for us.
We need a motion to approve the purchase of Apex Online Learning for the 21-22 school year at a cost of $82,000.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Those opposed? Okay, that passes. 6.4, approve bids for materials testing at Antonia Elementary and Merrimack Heights Elementary. Mr. Stewart.
So you have in front of you the information regarding the bids. So materials testing of materials for the construction includes soils, concrete, and steel. And so this is both at Antonia Elementary School and Merrimack Heights Elementary School. We ended up getting 2 bids from Soil Consultants Incorporated, SCI, and also from Intertech, PSI, one for each of the buildings. And you see that SCI came with a low bid of $27,260 for Antonia Elementary, and PSI came in with a low bid of $37,840 for Merrimack Heights. And so I would just ask the board to approve those. This will be funded through the Prop P proceeds.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the bid of $27,260 from Soil Consultants Incorporated for materials testing at Antonia, and to approve the bid of $37,840 from Intertech PSI for materials to be tested at Merrimack Heights Elementary School.
I make
Motion.
Oh, go ahead.
Chamberlain?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, moving on to 6.5, counselor additional days. Dr. Brocht.
We are requesting the board's approval to allow secondary counselors to work up to 5 additional days beyond their contracted 5 days on an as-needed basis. So currently, counselors have, at the secondary level only, so middle schools and high schools, have 5 additional days beyond their regular teacher contract. And those 5 days are to be used in the summer for things like transcripts and scheduling and things like that. And they divide those 5 days between the start of a school year and then the end of the school year. So between July, August, and then the following June. And as the increase in virtual requests and things like that have gone up each year, and just other needs of the high schools have increased each year, those 5 days are really not sufficient anymore. However, we're making the request flexible on a per diem basis because we know that not all counselors might want to work 5 additional days beyond what they already do, and also because they won't all be needed for those 5 additional days. So it's just on an as-needed basis and would be at the discretion of central office administrators, primarily Dr. Cardona, since she works with the secondary schools.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve secondary counselors to work up to 5 additional days beyond their contracted days on an as-needed basis only at their regular per diem rate at the discretion of central office administrators. This will not allow for an additional contract, but it will be just per diem basis when needed to meet the needs of students at a specific building. We need a motion.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay.
Could I ask a question? Kelly, how much is this per day then for the counselors?
It's their daily rate, so each counselor has a different daily rate depending where he or she is on the
Can you
pay
give me a
scale.
range of what it would be?
Some of them are around 100 and something, 150, $200 a day. It really varies. It could be anywhere from a master's step 1 to a master's plus
Sure.
15 step 30. So there's a pretty big range.
Okay, thank you.
This may be a question for Tammy, but I would assume, especially coming off of our experience last year, that there may be a greater need this year relative to getting kids placed in their programs and lined out so that they have a successful school year this year.
Yeah, so there will probably be a lot of movement in classes as school starts, and actually before school starts at the high school level. So, you know, one of the things, and I was actually trying to pull up my email, but my phone doesn't have service. I reported to Dr. Frigo today the updated virtual numbers of students, and I don't recall what that number was, but we only have like 25% of the kids that have requested virtual even have schedules in the system now. And we can't process those because we don't have counselors here to do that. So, you know, this just will, because of the virtual aspect, it is adding that we're needing some more help with that, especially at the high school level. You know, I can look at a schedule and say, okay, this student is an 11th grader, but to be able to go into the transcripts and make sure that the classes that the student has chosen virtually is actually classes that will meet the requirements they have for graduation. And that's something that counselors are really versed on and, you know, can go in there pretty quickly and look to make sure students are getting what they need.
Thank you. 7.1, authorization of credit card assignments. Do you want to say something, Mr. Stewart?
I was just going to say, per policy DJF, this is required of the board every year to approve these credit card assignments, so they are submitted for your approval.
We need a motion to approve the listings of the authorized credit card assignments.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. 8.1, consent agenda items for approval, 8.2 through 8.7. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda items, 8.2 through 8.7. We need a motion.
I make a motion?
All in favor?
Yes.
That passes. 9.1, adjourn meeting. We need
Motion.
I second it.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. We've got a record-breaking, not
Wow.
7:30 yet.
Less than
Thank you for coming, and be watching for the announcement of how school will start. Thank you.